topic for today will be pain, and
So
we're just
we'll, yeah,
gonna go.
yeah, we'll be talking about different types of pain. So I'll get us started with the two most common types of pain, which is acute pain and chronic pain. So for acute pain, this is something we've probably all dealt with. This is sudden or short-term pain. So this can be something that's less than 3 months, or it can be something a lot more momentary, such as a sprained ankle or um, and what separates this from chronic pain, besides its length, is how painful it is. So most of these are short bursts of intense pain. And then when we compare it to chronic pain is a lot more long-lasting. This is something that'll last for 6+ months, and even after an injury is healed, for example, pain signals can still remain active. And sometimes this can be less physical. So if you look at the diagram on the right, it can be neurological pain or emotional pain or psychological pain.
Okay, and then next is nociceptive pain. And let me post this video right here.
Would you describe your pain as sore, throbbing, dull, tender, aching, or cramping? It could be nociceptive pain. It's like when a key gets stuck on your keyboard. It keeps typing the same letter. Pain receptors in inflamed or damaged tissue continuously send pain signals to the brain.
So nociceptors are what are responsible for causing nociceptive pain, and those are pain receptors for tissue injury. And there are two different types of this pain, and there's visceral pain, which happens in internal organs, so like gallstones or appendicitis. So it's usually characterized by aching or cramping. And then somatic pain, which is involved with pain receptors in the tissues, such as like skin, muscles, the joints. So examples of this would be like bone fractures or strained muscles. And so in this animation, you can see that there's like a stimuli, which is the candle, and then the nociceptor receptors are taking that kind of stimuli and they're going to the neuron. And so this is an intraneuron, and this is an example of a reflex where it basically goes to the intraneuron, and then it's the reflex, so it just goes back and it tells you to move your hand. So it doesn't go to the brain. It just goes to the spinal cord and then back. Okay, and then next we have neuropathic pain.
Is your pain like an electric shock, a stabbing sensation, tingling, prickling pins and needles, painfully cold or hot? Those are all symptoms of neuropathic pain. Neuropathic pain is caused by nerves randomly transmitting pain signals to the brain without any trigger or warning. Imagine getting a call from an unknown number, and when you pick up, there's just static on the line. Frustrating, right?
So neuropathic pain is basically damage to the nervous system. So basically, like the pain receptors, they're like misfiring, and so it's characterized by burning, freezing, numbness, and tingling. And some examples are of conditions could be like cancer, phantom limb, and peripheral neuropathy, which is just widespread damage to the nerves.
All right, so remember how Steve was saying some types of pain are not physical? They're categorized as psychological pain. So something like guilt, sorrow, anger, these pains that this old man is feeling in Vincent van Gogh's painting, The Sorrowing Old Man. And sometimes this pain is called idiopathic. When we break down this word, it would be not knowing and pain. And so doctors who try to like diagnose psychological pain don't know the actual cause, right? But sometimes these psychological pains can lead to physical pains. And so what you need are antidepressants to make them feel happier, but not like it's a drug, but not that type of drug. But anyways, it alleviates their physical pain. But there's not a lot of research in this area. So if you want to be a neuroscientist, this would be a very good area to study. Okay, and then our next type of pain is a very specific type, acute, chronic, neuropathic. Those are all very general types. It could have happened to anyone. But phantom pain is only in a amputee, someone who's lost their limb, right? So from the Mayo Clinic, phantom pain is pain from a body part that's no longer there. It was once believed to be a psychological problem, but it's actually real sensations that originate from the spinal cord and the brain. So we have about 2 minutes left. I believe we can finish. So if you can look at the left image, there is a human with a shaded or lighter, that would be a left arm. And so that left arm is gone, but the nerves that you can see are still projecting to the brain, right? And so what happens is that there is a homunculus. I'll get to the dorsal horn in a second. But Anisha, can you mouse over the homunculus?
Oh, right.
It's the bottom right image right there. So if you see that, how there are like, there's a face, there's legs on the brain. Basically, the brain has a region. How do you sign up for the Lynbrook chapter in the IYNA website? So you'll need to make an, okay, so wait, I'll finish this and then basically you'll need to make an account and then you can sign up from there. Yeah, Anisha, why don't you answer the question in the chat while I speak? So the signals are still being sent to that homunculus, or the brain, but the limb is no longer there. So you're feeling pain, but it's a phantom pain. And that only happens with amputees. And that's because the dorsal horn normally inhibits the pain. So for example, if you bump your leg on a table, you'll feel the bump, but there might not be any pain. But now if you move your leg, you'll suddenly have a pain and then it just doesn't work. So the treatments, we'll have the video, but you guys can watch this on your own time right now. I think we're running out of time here. Anisha, you can just display this last slide really quickly. If you want to leave feedback, we have a feedback form, the question form to just inform us, and we have the sign up form for anyone who hasn't signed up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll let the meeting end, and we'll see you guys at our next one. If you're not on our email list, the one of these forms should have a way to give us your email.
Yeah.